Christmas present. Tried to do everything to get him to come up. I wanted to take final records on him. And I'd say, well, what do you want this way? Are you a golfer? Yeah. Yeah, I'm a golfer. So I sent him a putter and I sent him some stuff. And he had never come up. And then, so finally I said, oh, hey, dum-dum, send all these records and send them to his kids. So I sent his records to his kids. And yes. No retention for approximately 21 years. He didn't wear his retainer, if you can believe that. I run for a little bit right at the start. At the airport in Spokane, when he came flying in, you could hear my heart beating clear to the back of the room. Because I wanted to see this cat and see what was going on. Wouldn't you?
Yes.
Your kids went through all the pictures. Dad, you really had ugly teeth. Isn't that cute? They got involved in all this. Okay? Class 2. This is, you can see it. Narrow arches, all this stuff. Here he is. Here he is. 13 years, 38 years, 6 months. No retention, 21 years. Cody runs the division of Microsoft. Look at that carefully now. Cuspid way up there. Look at the tissue. Look at lower cuspid. Cuspid up there. Look at how that's a functional occlusion. That's like full mouth reconstruction. You got really good occlusion. No retention for 21 plus years. Medical CT scans I did all 15 of the most challenging patients, very stable. But this I just thought you'd get it. Cody commented at the airplane, "You changed my life." He said to me, he went up in the airplane, and then he came running down. And he came running over, and I was in, and he came up and he jumped into my arms. And he says, "I will never forget you." And Cody, your treatment result, and I said to him, looked him right in the eye, and he was this close to me. I said, "Your treatment results changed my life too." I said, "You helped us prove that clinicians can take treatment results to a whole new level. I will never forget you. Get you. Very big thank you." Okay, my hope for our profession is, and once again, that academics will teach residents how to skillfully use the most advanced technology and not only straighten teeth, but also make a significant difference in patients' health for their lifetime. With outstanding functional occlusion, proper airways, proper muscle function, and all the things I've been talking about. Balanced long-term stability. Let's see, do you want to keep going?
Oh, yeah, great.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
I don't want you to, who's asleep? You must be someone asleep. I would be. I would be. But I love this stuff. I love this stuff. It's so fun. It's so fun. And you could drive into my office and my heart would pick up every day. It sounds corny, but no. It was a great deal of my life. If you live life that way and you do the same thing with your family, you come in the door. My son, he used to wait for me. He'd come home, he was out there and he was in his outfit and I didn't even get to park the car and he had the football ready to go and I had to throw it over the top of the house and we got it and I tried to estimate where he was going to be running out there and he was just a little guy. It was amazing how many we completed. Either that or he cheated, I don't know. But we had more doggone fun. But to have this going anyway. Okay. Thank you. thinking of retiring. I paid 212. Thinking of retiring. And after inventing the passive self-ligation system, most changes have been just minimal, just tweaks. 2012, you know what happened. We went up to Canada. Major impact from my experience in 2012 with 15 highly motivated champions when we had passive self visiting the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada, with Hisham Badawi had invented this machine that, the orthodontic force and torque measurement system. Boy, I'll tell you, you don't want to learn what's going on. This was the first time we all observed. Now, what I did, as a side note, I practiced all the time bending wires. I would watch football, basketball, and I would sit there, and I would bend, and I'd lay out, and I'd be looking at and I would feel. I'd do that every week to feel how, you get a feel. You get a feel, but still, put more in one bend. Nobody knows what's going on. No, you don't. You put two. I'll bet anybody in this room, if you put two bends, unless they're both going the same direction, but you're not going to know. This was the first time we all observed anyone being able to accurately quantify the magnitude of clinical forces. Here are all these things that we were doing that was very exciting, but this took all the air out of my balloon. Because after seeing the magnitude of clinical force being applied by very carrying collisions, I left the meeting in Canada and simply couldn't sleep. Obviously, someone needs to develop a revolutionary new technology that rarely needs arch wire bending, yet achieve amazing finishes in far less time. I just put that over there, just a little picture of Ultima over there, okay? It was amazing to observe the magnitude of forces. These forces were tested and verified. Asia blew all the champions. We sat there and we went to dinner, and I thought I was going to have to carry everybody to the car because they just kept drinking, because they were so depressed at what they saw. And you guys see, I thought I was really a good bender. I don't know anything. And here we were and doing what I'm showing you, those cases, but yet some of us had a long way to go. So magnitude measured blew all the champions away. Most clinicians unknowing were applying many pounds of clinical forces instead of in grams, particularly when bending torque in stainless steel wires. Okay? I realized after the meeting in Edmonton, for we clinicians to achieve ideal clinic torquing forces and performance, someone needed to design a completely new bracket arch wire system. Use a lot of things that we learned in passive self-ligation, but we had to take it to a whole nother level. That achieves first, second, third, and now I slipped another one in on yet fourth order. I'll show you in a minute. Arch wires with minimal or no bending of finishing wires. After the meeting in Edmonton, this big question for me, then 71, that was a long time ago. Then 71, am I, or should I be willing to spend thousands or not hundreds of hours? Because I knew how long it takes. It takes thousands of hours to do stuff like this because there's so many facets to it. There's so many, it's not just inventing it. It's not just inventing it at all. There isn't Steve? And these guys, and Mike, we know it takes a lot. Big question. So, should I be willing? Next 10, 12 years of my life to devote it to orthodontics. It was very obvious that our specialty needed a significant improvement in bracket technology to achieve these goals. and to stay ahead of the non-bracket competition and really treat to the things that we're talking about, that we're trying, where it's part of health. It's not just making somebody with a good smile. One of the most challenging decisions of my adult life. Love my family, love my wife, and to do that, and you go 10 hours a day, you know, and but you go back and you look at all this stuff, Canada test, you know, look at that. We can't be using pounds of force with stuff like this, you know. It's very obvious the collision needed to move away from using bent stainless steel. Goal, some needs to design a newly shaped finishing archware made of copper nitrile or TMA, not stainless steel. Okay? When inserted into a revolutionary new design bracket slot, will achieve ideal finishes and rarely need to bend the shape of the finishing arch wires. Okay. I made this one night when I couldn't sleep, this slide. The revolutionary new Damon Ultimus gives clinicians the opportunity to eliminate. You have no idea. I spent 3.5 years developing a bracket that you could adjust the torque. You could go to high. You're shaking your head, and it wasn't bad. But 3.5 years, and there were thousands of hours in that. But I realized that it stuck out too far. By the time you get something that rotates back, and we had it so it worked. And I said, when that day that, remember we were talking on the phone, Steve, put it down, and I said, that's got to be for, new material has to come that we may be able to shrink that. Right, new Damon Ultima gives clinicians the opportunity to eliminate having to use heavy forces of torque bit in stainless steel. Here, these are all stainless steel, and you see the fire up here? That's what I want to do. No more torque bit in stainless steel. You can use it as something you want to do in width, just stick it in, but I would encourage you to try to find something else. Okay. Unbent torque with ultima gives the opportunity to apply clinical forces in grams with copper nitrile or TMA, not pounds. Okay? Goodbye. It's the name of a problem for weak clinician. Brackets are so small. This is the problem we have. Now, everybody in the room, I want each person to get up and talk about it and all the things that is in a bracket and how it works, all these things. You know, and this is what we look at. Without computers, we'd never have change. You know, isn't that interesting? So even though I'm not very good at a computer, I've spent thousands of hours on it. But, you know, you just look at this. You got to look at it like this and figure out what the heck's going on. Okay. Let's take a close look at why developing Damon Ultima bracket technology has been so critically needed for our specialty. Here's why now. When I say this, here, I invented this. I'm not trying to throw it under the bus, but there's problems. There's problem, and that's why we were putting the forces that we were, because we weren't getting where we wanted to go completely. All right? All right? You're putting those on. Do you know how they're going to work? Okay. Ultima. It's a bracket. Also had significant play in the bracket. Look at this. There was that much play in the door. And Ormco tried so hard, I'm so proud of them, to really produce something that really competent. And it's hard. It is very, very difficult to meet all the specs. But there was that much play in the door area. But now, with this, that's what you got to deal with to finish. I got better